6 seconds. They go to the end zone. Aubrey giving chase, and he's got him! Evan Aubrey gets the sack to end the first half. The freshman.
Welcome to this edition of the Southeastern Sports Network podcast. As we're in week 4 of the college football season, and it is game week as Southeastern has the week 0 Thursday night game. The earliest you can play football in America, Mark, college football. The Lions are going to get a chance to do that, and it'll be this Thursday night in Strawberry Stadium. First time the Lions have opened up in Strawberry Stadium since 2019 when they played Jacksonville State on a Thursday night to open up the season, and that turned out to be Coach Selfo's first year making the playoffs as the Lions head football coach. So Mark Willoughby joins us as always. Mark, thanks for being with us. Excited. I'm sure you're excited to have some football to talk about this week and get ready for what should be an exciting week on campus.
Yeah, finally, it's here, right? You wait all this time, and you try to wait it out, and all of a sudden it's here, and you look up and you go, man, where'd fall camp go? And it's already passed us by. We're in the throes of the season now, kicking off on Thursday. HCU comes to town. Going to be a little unique in that for the first time in a long time, this team is not what you would call an old football team, a team that, ever since COVID, the COVID years, teams have had a lot of older guys. This team has some older guys, but a lot of young players dotted too deep. We'll talk about that and get ready for Thursday night.
Well, Mark, Coach Selfo met with the media on Monday. He did talk about the team in the depth a little bit and lack thereof in a couple positions. He feels confident in the team, feels confident in Kyle Lowe, who will be the starting quarterback. Just got some question marks. Wide receiver position, I think, stood out from listening to him talk as a group that thinks there's a ton of talent there and potential. But as far as, actually, playing on the field and putting, plays on video for them to review in game, there's just not much there. So not saying they're going to be bad or he's worried about it. He doesn't know. He doesn't know what they're going to look like in that position.
It's kind of hard to necessarily call them question marks per se, but you're right. There's some inexperience in terms of college football. You've got some guys that are, you're going to have several true freshmen on the 2 deep, however, very talented players. And this is kind of a complicated camp when you're trying to watch this team work out and play and as they prepare for the season, because you watch them and it's an extremely talented group, and it may be as talented a football team as Southeastern put on the field in a long time collectively. But you look up and, man, you got a freshman, may start at right tackle. You got some true freshmen that are going to dot the 2 deep at wide receiver. And you look at it, you got a lot of new faces on defense, and you go, man, if you just common sense tells you, we got to. It's not rebuilding, but it's reloading. But again, you look out there, and we got a lot of team speed. You got some length. You got some really good looking football players, and you got a chance to be really dynamic. It may take a while to come together. We'll see, but. Can't wait to get started on Thursday night.
Well, it's going to have to come together quickly as HCU comes to town, a conference opponent. So talk about all that and more as we go along through the show. Our interview today is a special interview, Mark. Really excited to have him on and be joining us after the break. Stephen Moorman. He's the new director of the Spirit of the South and Marching Band. He'll give us his official title when we talk to him here in a minute. But he has taken that over. He is coming over here from USC with Southern Cal before coming here to Southeastern. Spent a number of years in East Texas doing some high school stuff, but also he worked at Stephen F. Austin, the Southland Conference member, who we all know, Mark, is one of the best bands in the league, one of the best bands in FCS football, maybe even the country. So he knows what it's supposed to look like, and excited to get to hear from him and talk to him. So we'll take a time out. We'll come back. We'll have Stephen Moorman, director of bands, our special guest this week here on the podcast, and talking more line football after this.
This week's guest segment is brought to you by Gateway Ford of Ponchatoula, a proud partner of Line Athletics for over 30 years.
Our special guest this week, really excited to have him here. The new director, I don't want to mess up your titles, so you can explain that to us and introduce yourself, but he is the new head of the marching band of Southeastern Louisiana University. So go ahead and just tell us, about your official title and everything that you can about it, and kind of introduce yourself to Lion fans out there.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me on. Super happy to be here and just really help rep the spirit of the Southland Marching Band and support our Lions in all facets and in all events. My name is Stephen Mormon, and my official title is a bit of a mouthful. It's a Director of Athletic Bands and Associate Director of Bands here at Southeastern. So I come to Hammond via Los Angeles, where I've been working on and completing my doctorate in music education at USC.
Wow.
And prior to that, I spent about 9 years teaching in public school band programs in Texas. And I got my undergrad and master's from our neighbors over in Nacogdoches at Stephen F. Austin.
That's a heck of a band up there, Stephen F. Austin. I think Lion fans have seen that. The ones that have traveled to Nacogdoches over the years. And then, Mark, I think they've come to Hammond on a number of occasions, at least twice that I can think of. And I don't think it's not the entire band because we can barely fit them in ours. But if that's a pep band, if that's still a term in the world, they're about as big a pep band as you can find in the country. But look, I don't want to, I'm not going to, you don't need to comment on this, but I will. I think for the last 4 to 5, 6 years, people have come to me, and not that I'm a guy that has any pull, or people just talked about it. Like, the kids that are out there doing the band at these games and in the stadium, they're giving everything they have. But it just seems like every year we're losing, numbers, and it was dropping. And then, I remember, and again, this is not a knock to anybody. I remember a Lion fan who went to Houston Christian, our opponent this week. They went to their game, a really small school, Mark, maybe 3,500 students, and their band wasn't much smaller than ours at our school size. They just said that's just not how it should be. And I know it's been a point of emphasis for the department, and then a major point of emphasis for Dr. Wainwright since he got here. And it seems like you're the straw that serves the drink, per se, to make this thing get back to where it was and should be.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the kind words. And yeah, it's been nothing but great ever since I came in here, even back to whenever I came in and sat on the interview and talked in with everybody. Everybody was 100%, full steam ahead with athletic band growth. We have a very generous financial aid package for our students now, which is a huge pull. And just being someone who is both enthusiastic about sports and the university bands that accompany them. I mean, that's me. I was a kind of like a dual person in high school. I both played football and participated in the marching band. So especially football marching band is a big deal for me. I was a part of one of those Hammond visits that you had mentioned earlier. Whenever the Stephen F. Band came down, I remember seeing the Southeastern Band and enjoying it back when I was in my undergrad. So when the position opened, I got really excited just because I have a history in the Southland Conference, and I know all of the great bands that are in the conference, and I want us to be a part of that. And there's no reason why we can't. So just to brag on the kids, we're sitting with color guard, percussion, and woodwinds and brass. We're sitting at about 91 this year. That's after band camps and once registration got finalized. So we're already seeing roughly 100% growth compared to last year. And the kids have been working their tails off. We have a fully revamped pregame that we'll probably have about 95% of that on the field for Thursday. And then we're going to take a completely different turn and do what is considered to be a more traditional university marching band halftime show. That'll be implemented on September 12th. So what the fans will see on this game is going to be just a block formation as kind of like a sneak peek of what's to come. We're going to be doing a Michael Jackson tribute show this year in honor of the biopic that came out in the spring. So we're going to play through the first half of that for the fans at halftime, and then September 12th, they'll see more movement, they'll see more marching. Homecoming, we'll have an abbreviated show, but again, it's just going to keep piling on. So every time that Lion fans come back to the Strawberry Stadium, they're going to be able to see more and more and more from the spirit of the Southland.
Awesome. That's great. Mark, go ahead with your first question.
Yeah, and appreciate you joining us. I know this is something we talked about getting you on, especially since you talked or spoke to the coaches caravan a couple of weeks ago before the start of fall camp. I know you really lit up the fan base there that day. You're a big football fan. You talked about that, and I think your quote was, "We're going to be an absolute menace to the visiting team and their opponent, playing their ear every chance you can, and affect the opponent."
We're going to bring a lot of energy to Strawberry Stadium. We're going to be bringing energy in the stands. I'm going to be an absolute menace to the visiting football teams, and we're going to play in their ear every single chance that we get.
But
speak to that if you would. What a marching band brings. A lot of folks, yeah, they sit over there and play. That's not what they bring. Excitement, energy to a football stadium and to a football program, especially in a stadium the size of Strawberry Stadium. Just talk about that impact.
Yeah, so I mean, it's an instant effect with the sheer energy that we're going to be bringing into games, and we're going to be as big of supporters as possible for our line football team in Strawberry Stadium. So I mean, we're going to be there every step of the way, cheering them on. We'll be there playing. We'll have things going for kickoff, for punt. Anytime we have a first down, I even have a little 2-measure thing. If the opposing team gets a penalty called at them, we'll kind of have a little, tongue-in-cheek thing to play for them. We'll have defensive stops. So let's say if our defense gets a sack on third down, forces a punt, we're going to have something specifically for that. That's going to be high energy, in your face. We've got a set list going for the media timeouts where we're taking turns in the press box, and every single time there's a timeout, the band is going to be in the opposing team's ear, because I believe that we are a huge part of being able to, what I call, affect the game in any way that we possibly can. So anything that we can do to lend our energy to the team, to help rev them up, to help get in the ear of the opposing team, to disrupt anything that will eventually, or not eventually, but essentially benefit our guys on the field, I'm all about. Yeah.
And speak.
I think that. Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
No, I was just going to follow up with that. You mentioned obviously growth and band numbers and the energy you bring to a stadium and that sort of thing. Talk about the energy you bring to a campus. Bands are, once they grow, we've seen Jacksonville State and Alabama. We've seen Northwestern State, similar University of Louisiana program here in Louisiana that's probably, not nowhere near as the size of campus that Southeastern has, with large marching bands. Speak to as bands grow, what that does to the energy of the campus, also student growth. Speak to that if you would.
Yeah, so the first thing that we do is, we take care of our house. And one of the things that I tell my students is that if we're not leaving rehearsal with a smile on our face, even if it's tired, hot, and sweaty, then we're doing something wrong. So the first thing we do is create a positive learning environment and something that's high energy, that, we're going to struggle together, but we're also going to win together. And we need to celebrate all of those things so we can grow. Because at the end of the day, we're two sides of the same coin. It's just we have instruments in our hands instead of pads on our bodies. We teach a lot of the same life lessons and instill a lot of time management skills, responsibility, leadership, everything that we do to help build these young men and women into, productive members of society, because they're only with us, for a finite amount of time. So my job is teaching life through music. That's really what we're about. And then that just radiates outwards. So we see more smiles, we hear more laughter around Pottle, and that radiates to the other students' classrooms, and they see everybody's having a better time. Also, just being an increased presence on campus brings a lot of energy, especially when people aren't expecting it. It's always a really fun surprise. We crashed our last orientation session with the full band and played through Fight Song Louisiana Saturday Night, and people were leaving, to go to the rest of orientation with smiles on their faces. So just anything that we can do to help other Southeastern students and faculty members and staff members, just have a better day. I'm all about it. With the numbers that we're accumulating, we've already done 3 gigs, is what I call them. So 3 small performances. We've had a pep band gig at a first generation college kickoff event Tuesday before school started that went great. We had the orientation session on August 12th during our summer band camp. So those kids were together for 2 days and then went and did a performance, which is phenomenal. And then we did Hot August Night on Saturday, which was a 40-piece pep band. So we'll do more campus events, and then once we get really established on campus, we'll spread out into the community as well. To that end, we've already got 3 parades on schedule. We'll do homecoming parade, of course, and then the Hammond Christmas parade, and then we'll get the band back together, all pun intended, in February to do the Hammond Mardi Gras parade.
Oh, fantastic. Can you talk about, as you start to build this, what the building process looks like for local high school bands on the North Shore, for basically basically anywhere, but basically all in Southeast Louisiana? How does that that bridge that you're going to build and the relationships start to talk about what's happening in Hammond now with the band and how you can attract young people to want to be part of it?
So first and foremost, I just want to help. I just want to be a helper. Whether or not they come to Southeastern, obviously we want them to come to Southeastern, but the first and foremost, I want these kids to have a good band experience. So, and if these directors, we have a lot of schools that have, one-person shows. And so you have one person doing all levels of band at the school in the parish. And so if I can come and be a set of helping hands and ears and eyes, that's where the relationships start. And then we just build from there. We'll have high school band day on November 14th, where we'll invite tons of high school kids to come out and play with us and join us on the field. There will be flyers going out probably within the next week or two about that. And then again, just, even if it's coming to cheer them on Friday night at halftime, little things like that, just keeping good hallway and making sure that we're a positive presence in the community. That's where it all starts. Everything else comes after, and we can't do anything else until we do that.
It's fantastic stuff. I love the passion you talk about affecting the game, and I don't think this is a prerequisite for band directors around the country, but one thing that stands out to me talking to you is the fact that you played and the game of football. I think that goes so far in making the atmosphere so special. I remember years ago someone told me we were talking about football, and he said I like the NFL, but I love high school, but I love being in the stadium and hearing the band. The band changes the game for me between the NFL and high school and college. Just going back in your life, what is being in the band at these major college venues and sporting events meant to you?
Oh, I mean, everything. It's one of the major reasons why I wanted to pursue teaching at the university level, is because I had such a fantastic experience at Stephen F. Austin as both a member and as a teaching assistant. And I wanted to be able to give that experience back to my students, whether it's me directly doing that or me just helping facilitate that experience for them through their own, actions of marching and playing and or teaching. It's just a fantastic avenue for self-expression and just really figuring out what you want to do with your life, because we also have a lot of students that maybe they're undeclared or they're looking to do music and they're not super sure. So if they can have a good experience with us and move forward and feel more confident about what they want to do, that's why I like to do what I do. I really do have a lot of passion for college athletic bands and a real love of the sports that they're tied to.
I have one more for you, and then I'll let Mark do one. Talk about basketball a little bit and how that's going to look in the wintertime or November. And I know that's, again, it was kind of like you didn't know if they were going to show up or not for the basketball games in the recent years. And when they were there, they did a great job. But how do you see that going when Coach Kiefer and his crew take the court?
Yeah, so basketball bands for us is a little different than what I have experience with at the university level. It is a legitimate course that the students have to enroll in. So the SLU basketball bands won't technically exist until January. But okay, what I'm going to do is to try to slowly increase the frequency of our appearances in the fall season of whenever basketball season starts, with some contingents of students from the marching bands. So we'll do like pep band gig appearances for the basketball games. I don't know what capacity that's going to look like yet, but those are things that are in the works. And even trying to get into some volleyball games that are over in the University Center as well, just as a show of support. Like, hey, we might not be able to be there every time, but whenever we are there, we're going to make as much noise for you as humanly possible.
I love that. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, Robbie, don't forget Jeff Dow and the Lady Lions as well. But
yep.
Stephen, one thing I did want to ask, I know you mentioned the enhanced resources, obviously, to help with the growth this year. Where do you see this band going long term as we move forward in this, as far as what's the potential growth? Realistically, where do you see this band going?
For the size of our university, we're right up to par, and you'll hear me talk about SFA quite a lot, just because that's where I went to, and that's no knock against anything. It's just I have the experience that I have, and that's where I'm bringing it. So the energy level and the getting into the game, that's something that we held very near and dear to our hearts at SFA, and I want to bring that energy here to Southeastern because, again, there's no reason why we can't. As far as growth with the financial aid packages that are available to students, I think that's going to be a significant draw. College is not the cheapest thing in the world, and so anything that we can help as an institution to create these higher education learning situations for our students, and they can be a part of band and do something that they love. We have some pretty ambitious goals that my assistant, Dr. Tyler Whitehead, and I talked about recently, and we're going to do everything that we can to meet that. So our 2 to 3 year goal is that we want to hit 150 members. And I think that could be attainable. It's going to be on the backs of everybody involved. It's something that no one person can do themselves. So it's very much a team effort with recruitment, with retention, making sure that once we get the kids in, that they have a great time. Because if they don't have a great time, they're not going to stay. And that's true across all facets of higher education. So yeah, we're hoping to do that. We've got some. We're going to be training for some larger performances later on down the roads. A bucket list item of mine is to do Macy's at some point. So I would love for us to represent in New York City one year. So that's the big, at least the 5 year marker. If we can get that going, that would be lovely to bring some more notoriety to Southeastern, because Southeastern and Hammond in general it's a really special place. I've only been here. My first day on campus was July 7th. And from the first time I stepped foot on campus as a faculty member, I could just tell that this is a very special place. It's got a lot of fantastic people and a lot of fantastic students. And anything that I can do to help raise awareness for that I'll do my absolute best.
You probably know this already. One thing I'll point out, and you mentioned the Hammond Mardi Gras Parade, but there are a number of Mardi Gras parades on the North Shore from Slidell to Mandeville that the crew could get into looking down the road. So I think it's a great thing. I want to ask you one thing before we let you go. In preparation for this, I was reading about the virtual band hall you did during COVID. It was for East Texas schools. Talk about that a little bit and how that all went. I thought that was really fascinating how y'all did that for the students that were kind of locked down at that time.
Yeah, so I taught in a rural portion of East Texas where we had to go so far as to provide Wi-Fi hotspots for students because they didn't have access to that at home. And we provided tech for everybody. We checked out horns, and we went 4 or 5 months, not being able to meet all together as a band. And so a group of local band directors, spearheaded by a husband and wife duo over at Beckville High School in Beckville, Texas, Josh and Michelle King, the two fantastic human beings and band directors, they got that started. And us as a region, very similar to how the districts and the parishes in Louisiana are organized. Texas is organized by regions of bands. We all got together and compiled exercises, playthroughs, and things for our students at home, because you also had either students couldn't come up to the band hall to check out horns, or they had to stay home and take care of, family if their parents were first responders and working through. So we wanted to be able to provide resources for them to stay on their instrument as much as they could within reason. That was one of the things I think I was most proud of my time teaching in Texas is coming up with that really cool, not coming up with, but being a part of, rather, that really cool collaborative effort between the community bands in the area. Yeah.
Great stuff. Well, Stephen, we appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy right now, preparing for Thursday in this season and building this thing to where we want it to be. So really special for you to make some time for us, and we look forward to seeing you in the future down the road.
Yeah, and again, thank you so much for inviting me. Anything that I can do to help promote the Southeastern bands, and just we want to show off the kids. They've been working hard, and they deserve to be recognized for that. Yeah.
Well, I see the back, you got the 2-letter adages that these schools fight on and line up. So it's pretty easy to remember for your two universities you're kind of tied to there in the back. But Stephen Moorman, Director of Bands, Southeastern Marching Bands, appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. And we'll look to hearing you guys throughout the fall in Strawberry Stadium.
Absolutely.
Take a break and come back after this. All right, welcome back. Southeastern Sports Network podcast. Thanks for staying with us here. Stephen Moorman, our special guest, just finishing up with him, the Director of Bands here at Southeastern, our athletic bands, Southeastern Louisiana University. Happy to have him here, Mark. Tell me he's a guy with a ton of energy, a ton of excitement for what's coming this season. Already got the numbers up in the band from what it was last year, and looking to do even more in the next 2 to 3 years. And I think the thing that'll stand out to me is maybe getting the chance to see the Lions march down Fifth Avenue for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade one day in the next 5 years. That would be pretty special, pretty exciting opportunity for the university to showcase itself in that. And, he said it, lofty goals, something you want to shoot for, but boy, if you're able to do that, it'd be really pretty special.
Well, that would be awesome if the Spirit of Southland Marching Band is able to march in the Macy's Day Parade. That would be fantastic. But yeah, lofty goals, but I think attainable goals. He mentioned the support from the administration, and they've made a concerted effort to upgrade the marching band, no doubt about it. They've heard the calls, and again, that's, as we've said, that's no disrespect to the fine men and women who marched in the Spirit marching band over the last few years.
They give everything they can.
Oh, absolutely, and a lot of those are loyal Southeastern supporters who watch this podcast and that sort of thing. But we know the numbers have been down, and the investment just wasn't there. And I think you're starting to see that now, and it's going to show up in the numbers. It's going to take maybe a year or two to get him where he wants, but he feels like in year 3 or 4, this band could grow upwards of 150 members. And you put 150 band members in Strawberry Stadium with their parents, siblings, grandma, grandpa, that sort of thing, and friends from back home, and all of a sudden it's just going to create a big atmosphere. And we see that on the road when we travel. And I know we went to Jacksonville State a few years ago. They had about 400 members in their band. As a matter of fact, probably 5,000 to 8,000 folks that were in the stands that day were there directly because of the band. And they have a post-game show that they do, and 8,000 to 10,000 people stick around to watch the band in a post-game show. And we've been to Natchitoches many, many times when they're marching 250, 300 members, and they draw well. And that's because a lot of band parents and family members come to football games too. So we feel like we can get that done here, and Stephen Mormon's the man to do it.
Yeah, I think it's just understanding when to play and what affects the game, and he talked about that. So excited to have him on the podcast, Mark. Excited to watch this season. Yeah,
and the other thing he said, he was in the band at SFA, and he's been here as a visitor because we talked about the SFA band used to travel here every year. They would come over here, except for one, I think. And he saw Strawberry Stadium, saw the atmosphere, and that's what led him to take the job here when the position came open.
Awesome stuff. Happy to have him. Thanks for joining us, and I hope everybody enjoyed listening to him talk as much as we did talking with him. So looking forward to great things in Strawberry Stadium from the Spirit of the Southland Marching Band in 2026 and beyond. So Mark, season upon us this Thursday night, HCU. Coach Duffo talked to the media this week, earlier this week. I want to hit on the offensive line with you a little bit. I think this is a group that can be really talented, but there's some question marks on some guys, and not as deep as they might have been over the last 2 or 3 years for Coach Duffo.
It's not deep in terms of backups, that sort of thing, in terms of experience, but there's talent there, and I think the starting 5 are going to be really good. It's going to start on the left side. Isaiah Hayes will make his first appearance as a starter. Played a lot last year in relief. Backed up Logan Potter at left tackle, and is a very good football player. I think he's got a chance to be maybe the best left tackle in the Southland Conference before it's over with. Super athletic, 6'4", has some length, athletic, and get downfield. Good pass blocker, really good feet. I think he'll set the tone at left tackle. And then Corin Boudreaux's back for his 3rd year. He's a rock inside. Already one of the best offensive linemen in the league. He's a preseason all-conference performer. Riley Witten is going to take over as a starting center for the first time. He did start a couple of games last year when Holden Karakowski went down against LSU. Also played a lot against UTRGV and started a lot of games last year at guard. So he's back, a proven player. And then Logan Potter is going to slide inside from tackle, probably a more natural position for Logan, although it will be a new position for him this year. And then right guard is going to be the question mark. It's going to be Zach Corrigan, a true freshman out of Canada by way of St. Pete Catholic High School, but very talented guy. He's a big physical kid that can move his feet. Again, he's a freshman, but he's earned it, and he's got a chance to make this offensive line better. It's going to be a big offensive line. But after that, you got some more true freshmen that are going to be called upon as backups. So I think if somebody goes down, I think that's where the headaches and the concerns going to be. But it's got a chance to be a really good offensive line.
I think that's the way FCS football is going to be across the country, Mark, now with the way that things have gone with the portal and various things. Is you're going to have to rely on freshmen way sooner than you might have in years past just because of the portal, the depth, various things like that.
Well, a couple of things on that, Robbie. It's not just that, but there is no more red shirt. I mean, the red shirt's gone. So there's no reason to not play players. So that maybe, there have been guys in the past that maybe could have played that didn't because you want to preserve a red shirt. And then you end up having the four game rule and all that. But now there's no reason. You get these guys sped up and ready. So if they can help you, you put them in there. Just so happens at offensive line, the way the numbers and the guys that graduated had been here for so long, you had to replenish the offensive line. We did it with high school players instead of going out to get transfers. There are a couple of transfers in this mix. Aaron McMillan's one who comes from a D2, but he'll be the backup at right tackle. Pretty good player as well. But, Frank Selfo has decided to build around high school players. And we talked today at off the record, I guess, at the luncheon. And, basically he said, we're on a better caliber of high school player now because of the portal and what's going on. So they're able to go out and get guys that are a little bit more sped up. You got them on campus longer now in the summer. So these guys get to grow up in your weight program even before you
makes a big difference.
Camp. So it does make a big difference, and they're sped up. So it's not as big a deal as it may have been, 10, 15 years ago. Hey, we're playing a true freshman. Well, now, especially on the offensive line, but these kids are coming in more ready to play now than ever.
Mark, defensive line, similar. A lot of guys Coach Self was excited about, but needs to see something from him on the field, I think, to really get where he's fully not invested, but needs to see reps, needs to see games, and we'll probably have a better feel for the team and the defensive line after maybe the third or fourth game of the season.
Yeah, and again, it comes back to just, you just want to get a couple of games under your belt. You watch them practice and you watch them play. This is going to be a very good defensive line, especially on the defensive ends. You're going to be able to rush a passer. Evan Aubrey, honestly, last year was, I thought, one of the best guys we had. He just was behind some older players, but when he got a chance to play, he impacted with, he had 6.5 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, and really limited snaps. So you extrapolate that out over 12, 13 games. This guy's got a chance to get double-digit TFLs and close to double-digit sacks. He's that energetic. He's tough to block. He's almost like a machete, the way he can just cut through an offensive line. And he's tough to get a hat on, and he can run. So, 6'4", 240. He's got a chance to really be dynamic. Khalid Moore on the other side, I thought, didn't have the numbers last year because he just couldn't quite get home to the quarterback, but had a ton of pressures, constant harassment of the quarterback. And of course, they rotated a lot of guys, but he's back and probably as good as he's ever been as a fifth-year senior. So that's your defensive ends. Gabe Copeland's a transfer of Southern Connecticut, who they really like. Again, brings similar kind of energy as Khalid Moore. Max Elkman's back, another big, long body. So defensive ends, I think, are going to be fine. Also, a true freshman, and Colton Shaw, I think, is going to be a good player. It's very similar to Auburn. It's insides where you lose your veterans. You lose, obviously, one of the best players ever played at Southeastern, and Caleb Proctor, and then also Ahmad Bradley. We talked about him leaving as well. But Peyton Anderson's back. He's better. Gabe Whittington is a young man from Slidell who went to John Curtis, transferred back here from Morehead State, played last year, is about 280 pounds. He's bulked up. And Amiri Alexander is going to move over from the offensive line to the defensive line. He's had a really good camp, has shed some weight, real athletic kid. James Harris from the same high school as Caleb Proctor has grown up in this program in his third year. And then Gage Brown, a true freshman from St. Paul's, is a big body, about 300 pounds in the middle. It's just kind of a wall inside. So, again, another young player, but talented. So there's some players there. You just got to see how the production fits. Can they duplicate or equal, what you got with Proctor and Ahmad Bradley?
Mark, special teams, always big. Always been big for Coach Selfo. I can count a lot of games where the Lions have won with good special teams play over the years. Obviously, I think the Kai Joseph will be back returning punts this season, but a new kicker, new place kicker will be here this year that I think a lot of people are excited about. He's a local kid from Covington. Just talk about the special teams unit and all.
Well, Drew Talley from St. Paul's down the road in Covington was here last year. Probably would have ended up winning that job, but got hurt against LSU in pregame. Trying to doing kickoffs, and so he was not able to eventually establish himself as a kicker last year as a true freshman. And he's back this year. Now he's considered a sophomore because they've kind of changed the designation with the 5-for-5 now. So he's a 2-year player, but has as much leg talent as anybody that's ever worn a Southeastern uniform. He is impressive. The ball coming off his foot in practice, he will routinely, 40, 45 yards. Hit balls that hit the new building that may be good from 60, 65 yards, and the ball gets up quick, it gets up high. So he's got a chance to be special. They'll have a new kickoff guy. Owen Wiley is a transfer from Akron. He'll do the kickoffs, it looks like. So, kind of a two-headed monster there. And then we haven't talked about the punter. Jack Hunter's back. Hunter the punter, as Robbie Mahfouz likes to call him. And he's gotten bigger, physical, looks like a tight end left footer who just hits rockets, can just mash the ball. And again, look for him to have a really good year as well. Sean Persigue is a local product out of Ponchatoula, will do the deep snapping. He is a very athletic young man who's got a really good deep snapper. So I think your special teams are going to be in great shape. And, of course, kickoffs, it looks like it's probably going to be Kyrie Paul, who when Lion fans got a taste of him toward the end of last year when he got in late and flashed. But this guy is really dynamic, Kyrie Paul, when he's got the ball in his hands.
Mark, I think if you look at this team, I think it's going to be, as it always seems to be, it's about being opportunistic in the right games, taking advantage of other teams' mistakes, which I think Coach Shelfo's defense has done really well since he's been here, and winning close games. A team that is going to be built, I think, a lot on running the ball and defense. You're going to be in some tough games throughout the season. You think back to 2024, you lose 2 close games, one to Tarleton and one to UIW by 3 points apiece. Close games, could have gone either way. You win one of those games, you're 8-3 and you're in the playoffs, right? You look at you look at the last year, and then Nichols, even in 2024, a final play of the game, Riley Callahan makes a winning kick. Not saying that this team is like 2024, but
UIW, you lose. You miss a 58-yard field goal at the buzzer that could put you overtime.
I just think you're going to have to be really, really sound. His teams have always been really sound. They always play really good defense, really good fundamentally at the line of scrimmage. I think the running backs have the ability to really break a game open. And sometimes as a coach, and you can comment on this, you got to be patient with the running game to break a game open. Everybody thinks, we got to drop back and throw the ball down the field with a big play. Well, I don't think this team's going to do that. They're going to try to throw the ball, but they're going to be strategic in how they do it, and they're going to use the guys who are their proven best playmakers right now at the running back position to make plays for them in space, and to try to break games open on the ground. And I think that's going to create games where you got to be patient with the team, understand that they have a plan, they're going to stick to it, and just know that, hey, look, these are our horses, we're going to ride them to the finish line.
Well, the thing you have with this team, it's a little bit different from what it really kind of reminds me a little bit of, if you remember 2017 when Southeastern, Matt Barrett had that spread option type running attack. This is not going to be that. It's going to be more of a traditional type setup. But you had several running backs. You had Marcus Cooper. I'm forgetting Eugene Bethea.
Yeah.
You had Juice Marcelin. You had several guys. We had one other one back then. Vapor locking on the name, but. You had about 4 running backs on that team that all had 500, 600, 700 yards rushing on that football team. You also had Lorenzo Nunez, who ran that spread option type attack. This is going to be kind of similar to that you're going to have multiple ways to run the football, and you're also going to have a quarterback who can pull it down and run. Obviously, who ran for over 400 yards last year. But you're going to see a lot of two-back, a lot of 21 personnel with this group. Guys who are dynamic with the ball in their hands, and you can throw it to them and hand it to them as well. And you also have some wide receivers who are going to impact in the running game too. But make no mistake, this team's going to throw the football. It's not going to be. I know we talk about, we feel like it's going to be run heavy, but Kyle Lowe can throw the football, and he's got some guys to throw it to. He's got a good stable of tight ends, some unproven wide receivers, but there's some dynamic talent there. Tristan Goodley's a super talented football player. Got Dekai Joseph's going to get more opportunities at wide receiver. Kentrell Prejean is hopefully healthy, and he'll factor as well. And there's a true freshman, Lawson Dixon, out of U-High in Baton Rouge, has had a fantastic camp, who can catch the football, runs really good routes. So there are some guys that can catch it. And then, of course, you got a good stable of tight ends, Aiden Wilkinson and Lonnie Shin. Bo Perez is back as well. So, there's a lot of ways to move the football with this football team. But again, we talked about, it's you just got to see how it plays out. But it's going to be interesting.
I was looking back at the running backs in the 2017 team. You mentioned Eugene Bethea, Marcus Cooper, and you talked
Darren
about
Darren Johnson.
Right. Yeah, Darren Johnson.
Yeah.
Was another one, and there was one more I was going to hit on that I remember made some plays. You mentioned Juice, and then didn't
there may have been one more. Seemed like it was.
I think that was it.
Monster, yeah. That year was probably as close as I can think of to this year, as far as the talent. Yeah. But this group may be more talented than that overall. And I think when guys see Chad Elsey, he's going to be a nightmare for some folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mark, excited to have the season. Network airtime will be 5:30 on Thursday. So if you can't make it to the game and you want to watch on TV, tune us up on the network or listen to us for the pregame, halftime, and postgame stuff as we get you ready for the 2026 season of Lion football. Can't believe it's here. I'm sure we will say this every year. I'm sure we'll be sitting here in December going, man, that went really quickly. And
we'll be sitting here in 5 years soon.
Yeah. Remember 2026? Yeah. Exciting to get it going, Mark. Excited to be with you, Robbie Moffett, and Alan again, and great folks who are behind the scenes, whether it's Blake Esta, Richie Clark, all the people who make it go. So for Mark Willoughby, I'm Robbie Rhodes, signing off for the night. Talk to you next time. Thanks for being with us, and also thanks to our special guest, the new director of bands at Southeastern, Dr. Mormon. He is going to be doing some great things, I think, at Southeastern in the future with the band and the in-game stuff for Southeastern football. Thanks for watching. This is the Southeastern Sports Network podcast. We'll hopefully be talking to you with a 1-0 Lion team getting ready for South Alabama next week with the Lions. I'm Robbie Rhodes. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later.
Line up.